A number of years ago, I was endeavoring to complete a significantly long fast. And there was one moment where my son was in the kitchen and I walked by and I noticed that there were some grains of salt on the kitchen counter. And so I took my finger, licked it, and kind of moved it across the counter, picking up as much salt in my fingerprint as I could. And then I just kind of put it in my mouth, tilted my head back, and was like, mmm, salt, groaning with savory delight. There might have even been a little bit of, hip rolling in the process. Salt. I mean, why are McDonald's fries and, salt and vinegar chips, salt and vinegar on the fish in Scotland so satisfying? Well, contrary to the effect of eating salt and vinegar chips or McDonald's fries that are generally accompanied with a feeling of guilt and shame, and there's some fat that go along, we are to be the kind of salty salt that indeed adds flavor and taste to the culture, but is poured out of the salt shaker, so to speak, without producing an effect of guilt and shame. In fact, we're to be liberating people from guilt and shame, not adding to it. And yet, sometimes it's the religious people. I say religious people because there is pure religion, that is good. But the religious people who have a form of godliness but deny the power thereof, who seem to heap guilt and shame, actually, on the folks to the point where they don't want anything to do with Christianity or with church, and worse than that, with Christ. We shame people sometimes. We guilt them. In fact, salt is used to make people thirsty. That's why there's free salted peanuts, or at bars, or found in bars, because it makes you thirsty. They want you to drink more. We're also supposed to be so salty that we make people thirsty for Christ. Our lives are to be such that people are drawn to what makes us tick, and that's Christ. I mean, how can we have peace when all around us is like raging or crumbling? How can we have joy when circumstances are just screaming out the opposite? When I watch some Christians go through sickness and death, disease, trouble, unemployment, problems, but they're doing it with Christ, and I see the glory that comes to Christ simply because they are fixed on Christ and not on the circumstances. I mean, they're not ignoring the circumstances, but they're saying, through it all, I know that God is with me. Through it all, I know I can trust Him. Through it all, He has me in His hands. They are salty. They make people thirsty. They bring people joy and peace and strength in the depths of their soul just by being around them. I think they probably have a good understanding of that Andre Crouch song, Through It All. I've had many tears and sorrows. I've had questions for tomorrow. There's been times I didn't know right from wrong. But in every situation, God gave me blessed consolation, that my trials come to only make me strong. Through it all, I've learned to trust in Jesus. I've learned to trust in God. Through it all, I've learned to depend upon His word. The song goes on to say, man, I've been to lots of places, seen a lot of faces. There's been times when I felt so all alone, but in my lonely hours, those precious lonely hours, Jesus lets me know that I was His own. Wow. We need to walk today with that in mind, that, hey, no matter what comes our way, we can be salty people. Not assaulting people, but be salty so that they are thirsty and made thirsty for Jesus. That's what it's all about.